Good morning, my name is Martin and this is the Tribe of the Fox. And look what Dirkje gave me as a present. Yeah, it's a book about Vrouw Holle, a very important deity, and especially for the Netherlands. And especially the part where I live is called Holland. Holland. But she's also very important in Germany. Now, this book is written by Anine van der Meer. Now, if you have watched my videos about Nehelenia, about a triple goddess, about a goddess named Aufania, then I used books from Anine van der Meer as inspiration and knowledge. Now think about this book about Holle, 660 pages. She's a historian and somebody who knows about symbols. There's a lot of inspiration in this book. So it's not just about the fairy tale itself, but also how it got preserved by people like the Grimm brothers and other researchers. It's about the Indo-Europeans and their world of ideas, and the people who lived in Europe before the Indo-Europeans. And it goes all the way back to animism. Now why? These fairy tales that we still have, they contain so much of our culture. All the way back to animist times. That's why we're going to talk a little bit about animism. Now, in the mid-1980s, in elementary school, I learned about our Germanic ancestors, and we learned about Wodan, Donar, Freya and Tiwas. So it's only 4 deities. And nowadays almost 300 Germanic deities are known. But we did not learn about ancestors, nature spirits, animism. It was just 4 deities. Okay, fine. It's elementary school. Now, there's so much to learn about our Northwestern European pre-Christian spirituality. Now, animism, what does it mean? It means that everything around us has a soul, a spirit, a personality. So we are living in a living world. It's a very important thing. So we human beings and animals are not just the only sentient beings. In the animist worldview, there are trees, plants, stones. They are all sentient beings. For instance, rivers, mountains, places have their own energy, their own personality, their own spirit. Now, the Tribe of the Fox made a video about how to connect with trees. Now, I took a friend of mine who didn't know about feeling trees. I took him to my favorite park, I took him to one of my favorite trees, and I explained him how to do it. I said, just feel your feet on the ground, clear your head, and you have your hands on the tree. And then you put your hands a little bit back, and you feel the energy between your hand and the tree. And that's how the tree starts to communicate. Well, he experienced the character of that particular tree in detail. As I already knew it before, but I had not told that friend. Then you can say, yeah, but Martin, that's coincidence. No, because it was very specific. And then we went to another tree that I also knew. And I let that friend feel again. He told me about the character of that tree. He had it right again. This is also how Dirkje and me operate with nature, spirits, trees and special places. We don't tell each other anything, we just go to feel and then we compare. So we can say from our experience that trees, they have their own character. They are individuals. And the trees all together are like a nation. Yeah, same goes for plants, same goes for stones. But how about nature beings? That's also a form of non-human person. Mythology is full of non-human persons. Trolls, giants, gods and goddesses, witte wieven, if you're Dutch or Saxon German. Yeah. So that's also very, very interesting that these nature beings, you can also experience them. I cannot experience them with my eyes or my ears because they are meant for the visual, the world that you can touch, the solid world. However, as a human being, you also have an energy system, like chakras and an aura. They also function as sense organs. That's just what they do. And once you know how that works, and if you are a little bit more sensitive than the average person, it's actually not that difficult. It's really nice. Then the world is suddenly a lot bigger than the visual world. A lot bigger. Okay, so we talked about trees, plants, stones, nature spirits. How about ancestors? Yes, they're human, but their bodies have died. Yet they still are here. So Dirkje and me, we do like to sit on burial mounds, and we made several videos about that. And you can also contact the beings who still inhabit who still inhabit those burial mounds. Now a graveyard functions in the same way. So if you don't have any burial mounds where you live, you can also go to a graveyard, especially if there's family buried there. Ancestors are so important. So important. They made you the way you are now. And you can keep the good things of the ancestors. But some things that you inherited from your ancestors, they don't work in our day and era anymore. Yeah, or like sometimes you inherited trauma or pain or fear from them. You can get rid of that. There are methods to do that. Keep the good things from your ancestors. They will be grateful for that because they support you. Yeah. Now, spirit animals. Spirit animals, the tribe of the fox. Both Dirkje and me, we have a fox as a spirit animal. And I met my fox during shamanic journeying. Okay. That brings us, because you can communicate with those spirit animals as well. And they can also be spirit trees or plants, by the way. I also have experience with that. Now, that brings us to totemism. That's quite related to animism. So in totemism, you have a group of people who adopted a certain animal as their, how can you say this, as their animal that accompanies their group of people. So there's a certain type of animal for a certain type of group of people. And these people who have a totem animal, they often also say that they descend from that animal if you just go further back in time. It's all possible. Now what about planet Earth itself? We human beings, I already mentioned this, we have an energy system. The Earth also, they also have things that are referred to as ley lines. So there are certain places on Earth, on this planet, where there's different energy, more energy. That's a very interesting thing. It's a very interesting thing. So I don't know if the Earth itself is alive, but there's certainly energies flowing through the veins of the Earth. Yeah. And the interesting thing is that the deities that Dirkje and me are interested in are all deities who have to do with this Earth, or even have their base in the Earth, so to speak, like the realm of the dead. it is traditionally seen as in this earth. Fertility comes from there, comes from underground. Realm of the dead is underground. Death and fertility, two sides of the same coin. So all these very important deities, especially goddesses, they are so connected with this planet. Hel, Holle, Aufania, the Norns, the Matrone, Nertus, but also a god like Freyr, for instance, very much into fertility and agriculture. Donar also. So everything is very earth-bound. So later in history we got religions that have some kind of a heaven somewhere far away from here. Or we have some Asian religions who want to get out of the circle of birth and death. They want to reach a state called nirvana, for instance. So that drifts away from animism. Now I don't say that it's impossible to get out of this circle of life and death. But animism is very earthbound. That's basically the message that I want to give. Yeah, so what else? What else? In animism, everything is connected with each other. This world that we live in is like a closed system. A family is a system, for instance, or a group of co-workers also. But this world is also a system. And we are all connected. The trees have their job. The gods and goddesses have their job. For instance, Nealenia rules the North Sea, rules the big rivers. They have a personality of their own as well. The ancestors are still there. The nature spirits, they make things grow. They have their job to do. We are all connected. Now think about this. This is an extremely respectful worldview. An extremely respectful worldview. If everything is connected, would you destroy this planet? Would you cut down old forests for profit? It's not an animist view. It's definitely not an animist view. Nowadays here in the Netherlands we are totally crazy. Or at least the government is and certain brainwashed people. We had the most modern charcoal power plants in the world. They had to shut down because the government wanted to listen to the climate change fools. Yeah. So now we needed to have biomass power plants. And forests in the Baltic area and also in, I think it was North Carolina in America, they are being cut down at a dizzying rate, shipped all the way to the Netherlands, and they are burned here in biomass power plants. Faster than trees can grow. That's not an animist worldview. It's utmost destructive. These climate change people should learn about animism. Then they would disagree on burning forests in power plants. Anyway, back to the topic of today. Although this also belonged to the topic of today. Yeah, so if everything is connected, is there duality? Well, our sense organs, eyes, nose, ears, taste, feel, yeah, they all function on duality. That's why you can feel if something is hot or cold, light, or you can see if something is light or dark. Yeah. Now, in the Indian Hindu tradition, there is something called non-duality. And in non-duality, there's no really separation between the subject and the object. Well, you have to be pretty enlightened to really feel that, I think. And many people who teach that stuff, that non-duality, not enlightened persons. Very hard to teach. This brings me to another topic, by the way. In animism, if you trust your intuition, and if you can, if you're a bit more sensitive than the average person, you can experience all those energies. You can experience all those non-human persons. You can experience. It's your spirituality. As soon as you're going to make rules, and as soon as people are going to protect those rules, then we have religion. And I also made a video to warn you against that. It's called Pagans and Heathens Don't Get Fooled. Yeah. So yeah, some people are more sensitive and experienced than other people, and they can have an advising role or a teaching role. But don't let anyone stand in between you and your experiencing of spirituality. Because there are many people with huge egos. They say, I'm a priest, I'm a high priest, I'm a Vitki, I'm a rune master, and I am blah, 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 blah. I'm not interested in those people. I can experience myself. Dirkje can experience herself. You can. So be aware, be aware. Let nobody hijack your spirituality. That does not fit in animism. If you worship the ancestors of your family, so let's say you're married and you have a couple of children or one child, so you have a little family, you can worship the ancestors yourself in your home. You can do that. Yeah. Nobody has to do this for you. Nobody has to be in between. You can make offerings to the spirits that live on your land, or in your forest, in your park, wherever you are. You can do that yourself. Nobody has to hijack your spirituality. Yeah, by the way, we talked about, and I cannot forget this is very important. I also made a video about how the human being is made. So from what components make a human being, let's say it like this. And one of the things is a fylglia. Fylglia, that's a Norse word. So there's also an Anglo-Saxon word called vets, and there's also a Dutch word named volgster. So that's basically a being attached to you that dispenses the hamingya, the luck, the fortune of your ancestors to you. So again, a non-human person. Yeah, so we talk a lot about nature, but let's be honest, most of us live in cities or towns or bigger villages. But they also have their own personality. These places have their own personality, their own spirit, so to speak. Cities are also, or well, I don't talk about the really big cities, but I live in a mid-sized town. You can experience a lot there. There's also a lot of different energies and even non-human persons that you can encounter. So even there is animism. Even in the mid-sized town where I live. So yeah, let's see, have I not forgotten anything? Because I'm talking for 90 minutes already. Well, let's call it a day. I think I said everything I wanted to say. So, as always, stay safe, stay healthy, and see you in the next video. Bye.